Hi everybody, this video comes to you courtesy of an idea from Ben Maloney, one of the subscribers to the channel. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description box down below. And Ben said, you haven't done a video on settings for quite a long time. You know, what settings I use in PUBG. So I thought, yes, but why not do an update of that one? Because so much has happened, hasn't it, recently. So let's go into the settings, just in case you're struggling a little bit and you're not quite sure what's going on. So here we go. So controller, I still use controller preset type B. Controller preset type A is the one where when you want to aim down sight, you tap on the left trigger. This is for PlayStation, but it also obviously applies to Xbox, but what I call the buttons would be different. So type A, you tap it and then you aim down sight. You tap it again to unaim down sight, which is very different to most games on console. You know, you tend to always hold the trigger, don't you, to aim down sight. Type C is the new type of control where you use the shoulder buttons to lean rather than clicking in your analog stick. So I'm pretty happy with the way the controls work in PUBG anyway, so I'll stick with type B. I have invert Y-axis. I'm that type of person where I have to pull back on the right stick to look up and push forward to look down. I've always been like that. My right stick dead zone and left stick dead zone I have at 15. You know, mileage will vary with this one, but basically what it means is it's the part in the center of your analog sticks that don't, even if you move them, don't actually do anything to your character. And sometimes, even fresh out of the box, DualShocks or Xbox controllers will have a little bit of stick drift. So sometimes, if you do find you do have that, so your character tends to slightly move, or maybe when you're in the map screen, the icon wanders around, you know, increase that a little bit. 15 doesn't affect anything really. Turn vibration off. And then my forward running sensitivity is 20, movement sensitivity is 10, vertical sensitivity multiplier is 100, and remember, that's just really for the camera, so it doesn't really make the most difference. Now, when we get into the general sensitivities and the aiming down sight sensitivities, these are really very, very personal to you and your game style, and you may well find mine are way too low for your particular case. And generally, the accepted sort of standard operating procedure for adjusting your sensitivity is, if you find when you're trying to snap onto targets, say you're running along and there's a guy forward and left of you, so you have to turn and you've got aim down sight on him. If you find you tend to zoom past them, so you aim too far one way, then your sensitivity is probably a little bit too high. If you tend to do the other thing, so you snap to them too slowly and you don't reach them, then your sensitivity is too low and you put it up. And a good way to kind of fine-tune your sensitivity is to go to the test range and run around and practice snapping onto targets. So by snapping on, what I mean is you tend to, when you see somebody you want to shoot at who isn't directly in front of you, turn first and then aim down sight. When you're basically facing at them, that's normally the quickest way to do it. And the idea is that as you've aimed down sight, as you look into your sight, you're then on the target rather than aiming down sight and then turning onto them, if that kind of makes sense. Now, so you can go to the test range and play with it. However, the way to adjust your sensitivity normally is to adjust it and then play like that for, you know, a few days. Don't try and chase the sensitivities. Don't play one game and go, oh, I didn't hit anybody, I need to put my sensitivity up to 7. Oh, that didn't work very well, let's put it up to 8. You've got to stay with the same sensitivity for a long time to get used to it, to get dialed into it. And as I say, a good way to get dialed into it is to go onto the test range and run around just locking onto targets. Sometimes people call it centering. So the idea is that as you see a target, you center them by turning normally, and then you're aiming down sight kind of as they're becoming centered, so that you can shoot them really, really fast. I'm considering at the moment going up to 5 on my sensitivity, because there's been certain situations, generally where I'm having to track a moving target. Normally, you say when someone's in a vehicle, where I'm not happy with the speed of my tracking. Overall, though, the thing is that overall, because I've played at 4 for so long, I'm pretty happy with my ability to centre and to snap to targets, and get headshots and that sort of thing with 4. So, but as I say, you may well find you can run at 10, and that's good for you. So don't think you have to copy this. Whatever you run at, again, just follow that rule of thumb. Is if you go past them too often, then you're probably too high. If you don't get to them in time, you're probably too low, and that's the time to adjust it. But then stick with that sensitivity for quite a while. Aim acceleration off. What happens is when you have aim acceleration on, it means that as you're turning and as you're aiming, the further you move the stick, the faster it goes. So it's not like a linear movement. Now some people really like this, and often it depends is what you've used in other first-person shooters. So if, for example, you're a Battlefield player and you've got aim acceleration on in Battlefield, you'll probably come to PUBG and want to keep aim acceleration. I have it off because I kind of always played that way. But again, it's whatever works for you. Again, if you find that there's situations where you're zipping past the target, or maybe not getting to the target, but your sensitivity seems fine, it could be because the non-linear character of aim acceleration is affecting you. So maybe try turning it off and do it that way. And then we get into the sort of specifics aiming of aim down sight and soft aiming, so over the shoulder. And basically I've got it all on 4, apart from the 6, 8 and the 15's scopes. And these are the ones with zooms, because often with the 6 times and definitely with an 8 times scope, you don't really want it that often zoomed into 8 times. You want to take it back, and as you're taking it back, the rate at which the scope moves slows down a lot. So I find I have to move it up, and in fact I probably need to move it up to 6 on these. However, when you are zoomed in, and then for me it moves a little bit too fast. But there are not that I ever use the 15 times scope. Hardly ever find them new, but only in supply drops every now and again. So that's my sensitivity settings. So let's go over to gameplay. Kill feed I have on graphic. You could have it on text. Text can be quite cool because if you what happens in graphic is you'll have, you know, Fred kills Wilma. And then it's got a picture of the gun, where with the text it tells you what gun it was. That can be handy in the last few circles, so you know who's got the AWM, who's got a silenced M24, that sort of stuff. Colorblind mode. Now I know people put it onto the other mode so that they get blue blood and things like that, so that they can see hits better. I don't really have any problem seeing when I've hit someone. You know, you see the red, don't you? And if they're not dead, you've got to fire at them again anyway, haven't you? Crosshair colour the same. On-screen button hints I have off. Network bug statistic on. So this is where in the top left-hand corner it tells you how your network's doing. You know, in terms of your ping, and that relates to your experience in game. So if you've got a ping below 100 milliseconds, it's okay. If it's below 50, it's good. If it's below 30, it's very good. Below 10, it's excellent. So you could see if there's a problem. So let's say you're playing games and you're like, ooh, wait a minute, I don't seem to be hitting anybody. If you've got that up on the screen, you can have that there. Now, it can be a little bit distracting. So, you know, having it on or off is really up to you. In the middle of a game, there isn't really anything you can do about it. If you do start getting, you know, a high ping, apart from maybe you could shout out to the other people who live in the same house as you, that is anybody playing Netflix? But that doesn't always affect it anyway. It tends to be to do with the network traffic at the other end, you know, up at PUBG. But, you know, have it on to see what's going on. Compass background I have off. I find that with it on, it kind of gets in the way a little bit of visibility. But remember, I mostly play solo, so I'm not having to call out compass bearings to other players, and I find that when I play squad, sometimes I turn compass background on so that I can see the numbers easier, so I can call out, you know, enemy 260 behind the tree, 200 meters kind of thing. Default firing modes: full auto, full auto, full auto for everything. Auto reloading on. Third person aim camera position resets right shoulder. Auto equip attachments on. Auto equip scopes should be on. Don't know why I turned that on. There we go. And auto replace attachments on. So what this means is, when you pick something up, for me, it will automatically equip it to the gun I'm holding. If you can't equip it to that, it will equip to the secondary. If you can't equip it to that, it'll try and equip it to the pistol. If it can't equip it to that, it'll put it into your backpack. Auto equip scopes, it'll do the same thing. So if I see a red dot, I pick it up, it'll put it on. That sort of stuff. And auto replace attachments. Now this is the really cool one. This is the one where, say you've got an AK in your hand that's got a red dot and extended magnet compensator on, and you see a barrel and you want to go to the barrel. As long as you've got the AK in your hand, you just pick up the barrel and then it will automatically, instantly swap that red dot, that extended magnet compensator, onto the barrel and throw the AK onto the floor, which is really, really, really cool. Audio, mute is off, master volume 100. Gameplay, mute, you have everything on, everything up to 100. UI, everything up. The music, I thought I'd turn the music off, but obviously I don't. And then graphics, I have the field of view turned up to 103. That's for first person camera view. I don't really play FPP very often on the PlayStation or the Xbox, because it takes for ages to get a game. However, sometimes in third person games, the first person view can be very helpful. It's normally when you're near a rock that's overhanging a little bit, and often in third person the camera kind of spazzes out and can't get into the right position, and sometimes it zooms in right behind your head, so you can't actually see anything. So in that case, flipping over to first person by tapping that top right shoulder button can help your view, and then obviously you come out of it when you move, so that you get the advantage of third person views. But have it up to 103, have it up to full, and brightness at 50. Again, you might want to change that depending on your TV settings, how bright your room is, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so those are my settings in PUBG. Hopefully that's helpful if you're getting a little bit stuck with them. If you've got any questions or comments about settings, put them in the comments section down below. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. You can always support the channel with the Patreon link as well. Thank you very, very much, and thanks for Ben for coming up with the idea for that video. And well, I'll see you all again soon.